If your eyes are resting on this screen at this very moment, your physical vessel already understands the deeper reason for your presence, long before your conscious mind could process the context, and long before you even registered the title of this video. Something profound within your cellular makeup ignited. There was an instinctual magnetic draw, a subtle, vibrating resonance echoing deep beneath your flesh, whispering a silent confirmation. Yes, this is the exact message I have been seeking. Do not mistake this for idle curiosity, nor should you credit a digital algorithm for guiding you here. Rather, this is your own biological essence stretching across the fabric of time, aligning perfectly with a frequency it intimately remembers. The very fact that you did not scroll away, the reality that an invisible force anchored your attention to this precise second, reveals everything I need to know about the profound transformation preparing to unfold within your physical form today. You have not arrived here to listen to superficial lectures about looking youthful. You are not searching for yet another temporary skincare gimmick or a commercial anti-aging trend disguised beneath spiritual catchphrases. You have been drawn here because a dormant, ancient intelligence within your core has just been awakened. A profound signal has successfully penetrated the deepest archives of your cellular memory, and that transmission is declaring that the current version of you, the one that has been deteriorating, the one that has been dimming its innate brilliance and slowly yielding to the heavy burdens of this modern reality, is on the verge of being completely overwritten. However, there is a singular, non-negotiable prerequisite, just one. Should you overlook it, absolutely nothing I am about to reveal will trigger the activation process. It will merely remain intellectual data. It might sound fascinating, or perhaps even poetic, but it will stay entirely inert. It will be like a potent seed that is forever denied the touch of water. Therefore, I ask that you anchor your focus right here. Stay deeply connected to my words, because by the conclusion of this specific transmission, you will not merely comprehend what this secret condition entails, you will physically experience it, reprogramming your entire being from the inside out. Allow me to reveal a paradigm-shifting truth that the majority of humanity is simply unequipped to accept. Your complexion is not deteriorating due to the passage of years. Your physical form is not degrading because of solar radiation, nor is it breaking down from the phenomena conventional science labels as free radical damage or the shortening of telomeres. While those are the clinical terms researchers use to define the superficial symptoms they observe, they are completely missing the root cause. Your physical vessel is aging entirely due to a catastrophic loss of frequency. At some point in your journey, the pristine, energetic blueprint that maintained your cellular architecture in its flawless, original state was intercepted. It was buried, overwritten, and suppressed by a much denser, heavier, and slower vibration that your biological systems tragically mistook for ultimate reality. You have intimately felt this dissonance. You have gazed into the looking glass and confronted a reflection that feels entirely foreign to the vibrant, sovereign spirit you carry inside. You have traced the lines on your face and sensed a profound disconnect, as though the external shell is narrating a story of decline that your internal soul has absolutely never consented to. Let me assure you, this feeling is not born of superficial vanity. It is a profound spiritual recognition. It is your higher consciousness realizing that the biological suit it currently inhabits has strayed drastically from its divine, original design. And that foundational design, let me be unequivocally clear about this, was never engineered to wither and decay in the manner society insists it must. Here is the profound secret that the world conceals from you. Your genetic code harbors absolutely no programmed instructions for deterioration. Instead, it is hardwired entirely for continuous, flawless regeneration. Every individual cell pulsating within your framework possesses the absolute, complete manual for biological renewal. Your dermal layers already possess the innate knowledge to remain luminescent. Your structural collagen matrix already knows exactly how to maintain its resilient, supple bounce. Your cellular powerhouses, the mitochondria, are already perfectly capable of generating the type of pure vitality that causes your physical face to radiate from the inside out. This is a magnetic brilliance that onlookers notice but can never quite articulate, a luminosity that has zero connection to cosmetic creams and everything to do with the unblocked life force surging through your meridians. Therefore, the inquiry you must make was never, how can I artificially reclaim my lost youth? The true underlying question has always been, what specific interference deactivated the natural energetic code that was designed to sustain my vitality indefinitely? Allow that realization to settle into your bones, because the moment you pivot from desperately chasing youth to intentionally reactivating the divine programming that was already yours, your entire reality shifts. You cease the exhausting pursuit of external remedies. You surrender the endless battle against the clock. You stop negotiating with the concept of biological decay. Instead, you simply remember. You recall that you are not a fragile organism inevitably marching toward ruin. You are a pure, infinite frequency that is only temporarily expressing itself through physical matter. And when that energetic frequency is cleansed, when it achieves absolute coherence, and when it operates at the precise vibrational pitch it was meant to hold, your physical matter has no choice but to respond. Your biology will answer. Your appearance will reflect it. The physical shell is obligated to mirror the energetic signal it is fed. This is not a poetic metaphor. This is the literal quantum mechanics of your biology. Now, allow me to guide you deeper into history. There is a profound comprehension that has permeated every ancient wisdom school, hidden in plain sight, yet articulated in a terminology that modern, arrogant minds have recklessly dismissed as primitive mythology. The ancient Egyptians deeply revered a concept known as the Ka, the vital animating spark, the energetic double that energized the physical vessel and preserved it in an incorruptible divine state. They held the absolute conviction that as long as the Ka was fortified and unpolluted, the physical body remained immune to the ravages of time. They did not mean this symbolically. They meant it as a literal, physical reality. They constructed entire magnificent civilizations dedicated to the cultivation and preservation of this exact energetic principle. Similarly, the ancient yogic masters harnessed prana, the vital life current. They understood with absolute certainty that when this pure life force was circulated flawlessly through the subtle energetic architecture of the body, it possessed the sheer mechanical power to literally wind back the biological markers of physical age. They did not merely delay the hands of time. They actively commanded time to flow backward. Throughout hidden history, there are meticulously recorded testimonies of spiritual masters and initiates whose physical vessels completely shattered all conventional biological limitations. How was this possible? Because their auric fields and energy centers were humming at a vibrational pitch so potent, it completely dismantled the collective, agreed-upon illusion of bodily deterioration. From the ascetic Essenes in the desert to the immortal Taoist sages in the mountains, and across the esoteric mystery schools scattered across every corner of the globe, every single one of these ancient traditions arrived at the exact same irrefutable cosmic law. The physical matter of your body is a subordinate slave to your energetic field. That field is entirely governed by your vibrational frequency, and that frequency is dictated entirely and unconditionally by your state of consciousness. Elevate your consciousness, and you instantly recalibrate your frequency. Shift that frequency, and your entire energetic field transforms. Reprogram that field, and you will literally witness your physical flesh recall the immortal blueprint it was originally built to embody. If these words are currently striking a profound chord within the deepest chambers of your spirit, pause for a brief second to press the like button and subscribe to this channel. Taking this physical action aligns your intent, ensuring that these vital spiritual transmissions will seamlessly find their way back to your feed exactly when your higher self requires their guidance. Fascinatingly, modern quantum biology is finally catching up, echoing these ancient truths, using the sterile vocabulary of laboratory science. Cutting-edge researchers have unveiled that our cells do not converse through mere chemistry. They communicate via biophoton emissions, microscopic, brilliant flashes of literal light that transport vast amounts of data between your cellular networks. Your DNA is far more than a static storage drive for genetic traits. It is a dynamic transmitter and receiver of illumination. Stripped down to its core essence, your genetic material is a highly sophisticated, biological fiber optic network running on pure light. Furthermore, the absolute harmony of this light, the untainted clarity of its energetic transmission, is what dictates exactly how your cells divide, how effectively they heal, and how beautifully they manifest physically. When this internal illumination is perfectly coherent, cellular division happens with flawless accuracy. The divine blueprint is executed without a single flaw, leaving your skin incredibly taut, radiantly glowing, and brimming with life force. However, when this internal light fractures into incoherence, when your divine signal is hijacked and distorted by heavy, toxic emotions, relentless daily anxieties, the crushing burden of unhealed sorrow, and layers of subconscious terror, the cellular copying process loses its way. Microscopic mistakes begin to multiply. The original, perfect architectural plan starts to crumble. Therefore, the fine lines and weariness you observe in the mirror are absolutely not the result of aging. You are simply looking at energetic signal loss made visible in the physical realm. Your divine broadcast has been dropping its signal for years, but as of this very night, we are going to fully restore your connection. This brings us to the critical prerequisite I mentioned earlier. This is the fulcrum upon which your entire transformation balances. I implore you to process this next statement, not with your analytical brain, but with that eternal, ancient spark residing within your chest, the part of you that has been starved, waiting lifetimes for this exact moment of liberation. The absolute, non-negotiable condition for triggering your innate longevity code is simply this. You must forcefully sever your identification with the character you play who is getting older. I am going to repeat that mandate, because your logical ego will instinctively attempt to dismiss it. You must permanently detach your sense of self from the version of you that is susceptible to aging. I am not instructing you to combat it. I am not telling you to push against it or desperately attempt to claw back your youth through sheer force of will or panic. You simply have to drop the role entirely. You are required to aggressively pull your conscious awareness completely out of the parallel timeline where you signed a contract to wither away. Instead, you must transplant your entire focus, fully and unconditionally, into the pristine frequency of your origin. In theory, this sounds beautifully simple. In practice, it demands profound dedication, primarily because you have invested years, likely decades, constructing a psychological fortress around the inevitability of growing old. You have marinated in societal dogmas so thoroughly that they now masquerade as absolute biological laws. You have observed the gradual decline of your parents and their parents before them, tragically assuming that their genetic timeline is an inescapable prophecy for your own. You have deeply ingested the toxic collective hypnosis that dictates that once you cross a certain chronological threshold, your inner fire must extinguish, your skin must inevitably sag, your vitality must evaporate, and your only remaining option is to quietly orchestrate a graceful surrender to deterioration. I am here to tell you that this global consensus is nothing more than a dense, energetic frequency. And for as long as your internal radio dial is locked onto that specific station, your obedient cells have no choice but to dance to its morbid tune. Brace yourself for the revelation that rewrites the rules of reality. Age has absolutely nothing to do with linear time or numbers. Age is purely an electromagnetic frequency that you are actively radiating, and your physical vessel, right down to the microscopic mitochondria, is merely adjusting its shape to match the vibration you are broadcasting into the ether. Each and every time the thought "I am getting so old" crosses your mind, your cellular intelligence registers it as a direct, unquestionable command from the Commander-in-Chief. Every single instance you glare at your reflection with a heavy heart and disappointment. Your bioluminous field interprets that sorrow as a strict directive to further corrupt the life force signal. Whenever you look back at old photographs of a younger you, drowning in a sense of mourning and loss, you are practically shouting at your DNA to keep sprinting away from its perfect, original mold. You are not physically decaying because the clock is ticking. You are decaying because you have subconsciously signed an agreement to do so. And tonight, we are tearing that contract to shreds. Let us take a brief, intentional pause. I want to ask you a very personal question. Can you pinpoint the exact moment in your life when you first suspected that you were operating on a frequency that did not belong to your true spirit? When was that initial, jarring moment you truly felt the painful chasm between the aging facade your body was projecting and the eternal, ageless vitality your soul was screaming from within? I invite you to share that profound realization in the comments section below. The mere act of acknowledging and vocalizing that specific memory is a foundational step in your quantum activation. Now, prepare yourself as we descend even further down the rabbit hole. We are venturing into a hidden subterranean layer of truth that the vast majority of humanity will never possess the courage to explore. Yet, this is the precise realm where the ultimate biological alchemy takes place. You are a starseed. I do not deploy that specific term casually. I am certainly not saying it to stroke your ego or offer empty flattery. I utilize that exact phrase because it remains the only factually precise definition of your true ontological nature. Your core consciousness was never birthed within this heavy, three-dimensional density. The foundational frequency radiating from the absolute center of your being is entirely alien to the sluggish, baseline vibration of this current planetary sphere. You descended into this realm pre-programmed with a specific luminous architecture, a light signature that is fundamentally self-healing, eternally regenerative, and explicitly engineered to sustain perfect harmony across the vast spans of what this physical dimension insists on calling time. But we must confront the reality of what occurred upon your arrival. When your spirit anchored into this dense atmosphere, when you bravely donned a human biological suit and plunged into the overwhelming gravitational pull of the collective human psyche, you collided with a force your pristine frequency had absolutely no prior context for. You slammed headfirst into the crushing gravity of mass consensus. You were bombarded by the overwhelming density of billions of surrounding souls, all simultaneously transmitting the identical deafening frequency of physical limitation, biological decay, and inevitable demise. That collective broadcast was so deafening, so omnipresent, and so relentlessly constant that slowly, almost imperceptibly, your own pristine signal began to morph and adapt. This did not happen because your light was fragile or weak. It happened because your soul is profoundly empathic. It occurred because your energetic blueprint is inherently designed to synchronize with its environment. Tragically, it synchronized with a fundamentally flawed transmission. You have spent lifetimes inadvertently running someone else's corrupted software. That bone-deep exhaustion you constantly battle, it does not belong to you. The visible deterioration you witness in the mirror, it is not yours. That heavy, suffocating sensation weighing down your auric field, the exact density that strips the glow from your complexion, dulls the spark in your gaze, and makes your physical joints ache with an unnatural age. None of that is your authentic frequency. It is merely the accumulated static of a global, collective broadcast that you accidentally tuned your internal receiver to and simply forgot how to shut off. Take a breath. Can you sense the profound shift in the air? Can you feel the subtle physiological reaction within your own flesh the moment you truly digest the possibility that the biological decline you have been suffering might not even be your burden to bear? Something just recalibrated. I felt it happen. The borders of your energetic field just expanded outward by a microscopic fraction. And trust me, that tiny fraction is all the space we need. Allow me to share a parable about a woman we shall name Elara. Elara resided in a secluded settlement bordering the unforgiving edge of a sprawling, barren desert. She was renowned far and wide for her extraordinary garden, a vibrant sanctuary that inexplicably thrived in earth, that every local expert had declared completely lifeless. Passers-by would wander past her property, shaking their heads in total disbelief. They would murmur to one another, "The soil here is mere dust. The sun is a scorching furnace. It is scientifically impossible for anything to take root here." Yet, Elara's sanctuary was an explosion of verdant life. Exotic blossoms that had absolutely no logical right to exist in such a brutal climate burst into glorious, defiant bloom every single morning, as if the concept of drought was a myth they had never been told. Eventually, a weary wanderer paused at her gate, desperate to uncover her secret. Elara offered a gentle smile and delivered a truth that the wanderer would not fully comprehend for many years to come. She spoke softly. "I do not attempt to cultivate a garden here. I merely remember one into existence. Each day at dawn, I step onto this parched earth, and I vividly recall the absolute perfection of the garden that is already sleeping just beneath the crust. I do not wage war against the lack of rain. I do not pick a fight with the blistering sun. I simply anchor the pure memory of what this very earth already possesses, the innate knowledge to become. And the soil. The soil does not respond to my physical labor. It responds entirely to my unwavering remembrance." The wanderer, still trapped in logic, challenged her. "But what happens if you lose focus? What if, on one fateful morning, you awaken, gaze out, and truly believe you only see the barren dust?" Elara leveled her gaze at him, a gaze carrying the weight of ancient epochs, and replied, "Then, on that specific morning, the barren dust is exactly what we'll harvest. Listen to me closely. You are playing the roles of both Elara and the fertile earth. A crucial fragment of your being is the sovereign consciousness, the part that actively holds the pristine, uncorrupted memory of your divine original design. This is the luminous, surging, endlessly regenerative template you successfully smuggled into this earthly incarnation. The other fragment of you is the soil itself, your physical vessel, your biology, your intricate cellular matrix. And right at this very second, that matrix is desperately waiting for your conscious mind to finally remember what your body already knows how to achieve. For far too long, you have been staring at the dust. You have been nodding in agreement with the drought, and your personal garden, your physical flesh, your skin, the pure bioluminescence of your cells, has obediently mirrored that bleak observation. Tonight, however, marks the end of the drought. Tonight, we remember the garden. Now, we must transition from the ethereal to the fiercely practical. I refuse to leave you adrift in beautiful but abstract philosophy. I am going to hand you the precise mechanical tools. We are going to examine the literal, energetic physics behind activating your dormant longevity code and outline the exact protocol to trigger it right now. Your biological vessel operates on a principle that advanced quantum biophysics refers to as coherent oscillation. In simple terms, every single cell within you hums at a very specific vibrational frequency. When millions of these cellular frequencies are perfectly synchronized, when they sing together in absolute harmony, your physical body shifts into a state of supreme, optimized functionality. Once this harmonic state is achieved, the magic happens. Cellular repair goes into overdrive. Chronic, systemic inflammation simply evaporates. The synthesis of fresh, bouncing collagen skyrockets. The natural shedding and replacement of old cells occurs with flawless, mathematical precision. Ultimately, your outermost dermal layer, your skin, begins to act as a mirror, reflecting the brilliantly coherent light that is finally flowing unobstructed through your internal systems. I must emphasize, this is not metaphysical speculation. This is hard, observable, clinically measurable biological science. The fundamental hurdle we face is that achieving this state of coherence demands an incredibly stable internal signal. And frankly, the energetic signals of the vast majority of the human population are chaotic at best. Their internal broadcasts are shattered into fragments by relentless anxiety. They are jammed by the toxic frequency of old resentments. Their signals are blasted apart by the deafening cacophony of a society specifically designed to capitalize on your continuous state of incoherence. Every single smartphone alert, every toxic cycle of social comparison, every agonizing moment of harsh self-judgment, each one of these events fires a jagged spike of energetic dissonance straight through your delicate biophoton field. And because your obedient cells are constantly eavesdropping on that energetic field every millisecond of the day, they instantly downgrade their physical expression to match that chaos. Let me make this as plain as possible. Incoherence is the engine of aging. Coherence is the engine of regeneration. It truly is that mathematical and that precise. How, then, do we forge this state of absolute coherence? In what way do we lock down and stabilize our internal broadcast? This is the precise secret the multi-billion-dollar cosmetic empire desperately conceals from you. Simply because they cannot bottle, market, or sell it, you cannot purchase a topical cream for vibrational coherence. No clinic offers a dermal filler for biophoton recalibration. The solitary piece of advanced machinery capable of purifying your energetic transmission back to its flawless factory setting is the one you currently possess, your own sovereign consciousness. Allow me to introduce the exact protocol. Grasp fully that the exercise I am preparing to guide you through is not a traditional meditation as society defines it. It is a profound, biological frequency override. This is the act of intentionally dialing your cellular radio station back to its divine genesis. This is the catalyst. As dusk falls tonight, just before you drift into the dream state, seek out a pocket of profound silence. It does not require hours, nor does it demand perfection. Your physical vessel inherently knows this dance. You are merely offering it the key. Recline flat. Let your eyelids fall heavy. Lift both hands and rest your palms delicately against your visage, cradling it as though you are holding an artifact of immeasurable worth because you truly are. Now, draw breath. Slow, expansive, unforced respiration. Allow your lungs to dictate their own tidal rhythm. As the oxygen flows, focus intensely on the thermal energy radiating from your palms into your dermis. Become acutely aware of the life force pooling in your hands, the eternal current of energy that is perpetually rushing through your meridians, a current you are usually too distracted to acknowledge. Here is where the true alchemy begins. Cradling your face, you must vocalize these exact words. Do not merely think them, speak them aloud into the physical room, even if it is a hushed whisper. The acoustic vibration of your vocal cords resonating against your physical flesh is a critical mechanical component of this ritual. Speak this phrase: I recognize you. I remember you. 3 simple words, yet you must feel their tectonic impact. Witness what transpires when you address your biological suit as a sentient entity that has been weeping for your return, because it truly has been. Utter it once more. I remember you. I remember the stellar light you harbor. I remember the divine architecture you were woven from. I remember your true essence beneath the crushing layers of every fraudulent contract I signed with linear time, deterioration, and human limitation. I remember you. Notice the sensation beneath your fingers. Feel the heat exponentially multiply. I assure you, this is not a trick of the mind. This is your biophotonic matrix physically reacting to a crystal clear, coherent command. This is your cellular army devouring the exact directive they have been starving to receive. It is the dormant longevity sequence finally hearing its master password. Now, channel your breath directly into your palms. Envision each exhale carrying this frequency of pure remembrance straight into the microscopic universe beneath your touch, into your brow, your cheekbones, your jawline, the fragile tissue framing your eyes. Every individual cell is eavesdropping. Every single atom is adjusting. You are no longer doing something to your complexion. You are embodying the exact electromagnetic signal it requires to morph back into its pristine state. Remain in this sanctuary for as long as it feels electrically charged. You will intuitively recognize when the download is finished because a profound settling will occur. A deep, forgotten tension gripping your facial muscles, a clenching you were completely blind to, will suddenly dissolve. And inside that exact moment of surrender, the code goes live. Let that truth anchor into your bones. Understand that this ritual is not an empty, repetitive chore. Rote mechanical memorization will yield nothing. The magic lies entirely in the sincerity of your remembrance. The true prerequisite is your authentic willingness to completely sever your conscious awareness from the timeline of decay. and forcefully transplant it into the timeline of eternal renewal. That is the non-negotiable rule, not the specific syllables, not the exact angle of your hands, nor the count of your breaths. The rule is that you must genuinely resign from playing the character who consented to wither away. And let me share what I have witnessed time and time again in the initiates who successfully execute this paradigm shift. The transformation always erupts in the eyes first. A magnetic, undeniable spark re-enters the iris long before any structural change occurs. People in your orbit will detect it before their brains can even process what they are witnessing. They will stare at you and remark, "Something has shifted. You look incredibly rested. You seem weightless. You look like your true self again." They will be entirely incapable of articulating it because they are staring at an electromagnetic frequency shift manifesting in dense matter, and their logical minds lack the vocabulary for such phenomena. But you will know. You will understand the exact alchemy that transpired. Following the eyes, the skin itself begins to metamorphose. It will not happen overnight to satisfy an impatient ego, but rather in the way the parched earth responds to a remembered garden. Imperceptibly, at first, and then all at once, the tactile texture will transform. The gray veil of exhaustion will evaporate. A breathtaking luminescence will begin to bleed outward from the absolute core of your being, not a superficial gloss applied to the surface, but a radiant beam cutting through the surface. It will appear as though the blazing star buried deep within your chest is finally piercing the veil, simply because you ceased suffocating it with the dense, toxic vibration of self-betrayal. Because ultimately, for a starseed, the physical manifestation of aging is nothing more than visible self-abandonment. Every single instance you purposely dimmed your brilliance merely to blend into this dense world, your biological armor kept a strict, physical ledger of that betrayal. Whenever you swallowed your authentic voice merely to maintain a fragile external peace, your microscopic anatomy recorded that exact dissonance. Each time you actively muted your own brilliant vibration just to blend into the heavy atmosphere surrounding you, your physical form sacrificed a crucial piece of its divine broadcast. Over the span of years, those tiny, seemingly insignificant sacrifices piled up. That massive accumulation of surrendered light is precisely what you observe in your reflection and mistakenly label as growing old. Let me make this abundantly clear. You are not old. You are simply running on low power. You are dimmed. There is a staggering, cosmic distinction between those two states. One is a permanent, terminal decline. The other is a temporary power outage that can be fully reversed this very evening. I invite you to head into the comments section right now and answer this. Which specific societal lie regarding biological decay are you finally prepared to banish from your reality? Name the illusion, type it out and project it into the quantum field, because the exact second you verbally declare what you are terminating, you instantly sever your energetic cord to it, and your internal software instantly initiates the rewriting sequence. Now, allow me to guide you into an even more profound stratum of this truth, because what we are discussing transcends mere cosmetic aesthetics. Your outer layer of skin is merely the physical manifestation of a much grander architecture. Your dermis serves as the literal frontier separating your private internal cosmos from the external holographic reality. It is the living membrane where your personal frequency collides with the physical world. When that biological boundary is buzzing with vitality, when it is electrified with perfectly coherent bioluminescence, it transcends looking merely youthful. It literally transforms into an impenetrable energetic shield. This is what esoteric traditions refer to as the halo principle, directly mapped onto your biology. Your localized aura, your highly calibrated vibrational sphere, does not merely defend you against toxic, low-density psychic noise. It acts as an absolute fortress on a microscopic, cellular level. When your aura is fortified and harmonized, your outermost skin morphs into an intelligent filter, meticulously deciding what vibrations are permitted to enter your sacred temple. Chemical toxins are neutralized with staggering speed. Systemic inflammation is snuffed out long before it can take root as a chronic condition. Your nervous system's stress reflex is beautifully regulated, because your glowing energetic armor is already catching and transmuting the world's density long before it can ever touch your delicate cells. You have undoubtedly encountered individuals who appear miraculously immune to the toxic soup of modern existence, people who navigate the exact same chaotic, pressure-filled society as the rest of us, yet inexplicably radiate a supernatural vitality that logic cannot justify. They did not win some arbitrary genetic lottery. They are simply operating in a state of absolute energetic coherence. Their personal halo is fully online. Their vibrational thermostat is set so high that it forces their biology to remain locked in an eternal cycle of regeneration, completely immune to the chaos unfolding in the external environment. This exact state of invulnerability is available to you. It is not some unreachable fantasy. It is not an elite privilege reserved for ascetic monks in Himalayan caves. It is the immediate, organic byproduct of the internal recalibration you are undergoing right at this very second. Simply by absorbing these frequencies and allowing them to restructure your inner world. However, there is a treacherous psychological trap we must expose immediately, because if we ignore it, it will act as the ultimate firewall against your activation. I am speaking of guilt, the quiet, suffocating shame whispering that you are unworthy of this biological rebirth. The toxic assumption that desiring a youthful, radiant physical vessel is inherently shallow, ego-driven, or devoid of spiritual depth. I need to shatter that illusion for you right now. This is perhaps one of the most dangerous, insidious frequencies designed specifically to keep powerful starseeds trapped in a state of rapid deterioration. Here is the absolute reality. Your fleshy avatar and your eternal soul are not divided entities. Your external aesthetic is the direct, unedited reflection of your internal frequency. The dogma insisting that neglecting your physical temple is somehow more righteous or holy than celebrating its divine beauty is a catastrophic distortion. It is a viral program deliberately engineered by a control matrix that is terrified of you reclaiming your sovereign power. Because a starseed who is vibrantly healthy, devastatingly luminous, and operating at peak physical expression is a starseed who cannot be ignored. And highly visible starseeds literally alter the electromagnetic resonance of any space they occupy. When you blaze with light, you silently grant every single person around you the absolute permission to ignite their own. When your complexion beams with the coherent force of an awakened aura, your physical body becomes a walking, breathing transmission of hope. Onlookers do not just see your face. They receive a download from your field. What they are actually feeling is the potent frequency of infinite possibility. They are receiving a silent broadcast proving that physical degradation is not an unavoidable law, that fading into the shadows is a choice, not a destiny, that the light can always be resurrected, because the light never truly vanished. Therefore, you must purge the guilt. Evict the shame from your consciousness completely. Your burning desire to unlock your longevity code has absolutely nothing to do with superficial vanity. It is an integral component of your cosmic mission. It is the deepest layer of your soul loudly declaring, I am finally prepared to be seen in all my glory on this earthly plane. I am done masking my power behind the camouflage of human frailty. I am ready to force my physical matter to mirror the sheer majesty of my internal frequency. Observe what miraculously unfolds the very moment you drop that heavy burden of guilt. Watch how rapidly the stagnant energy begins to surge. Guilt operates as one of the heaviest, most paralyzing emotional densities in the human repertoire. It functions as a massive, concrete dam wedged into your energetic rivers, completely choking off the flow of life-giving light to your biology. The instant you demolish that dam, a tidal wave of illumination floods your system, and your resilient body, which has been standing by patiently for decades waiting for this exact command, immediately begins the process of divine regeneration. Let me hand you one more crucial key. The practice of deep remembrance I just provided you serves as the unshakable bedrock of this transformation. But there is a secret amplifier, a frequency that turns the dial to its absolute maximum. And that supreme amplifier is joy. I am not referring to the synthetic, manufactured cheerfulness of forced positive thinking. I am absolutely not talking about the plastic smile of spiritual bypassing, where you pretend everything is fine while your soul is screaming. I am speaking of profound, unadulterated ecstasy, the specific caliber of joy that erupts from the absolute center of your being when you are engaged in an act that perfectly harmonizes with your most authentic frequency. This is the kind of euphoria that completely obliterates your perception of time. It is the type of elation that ignites a brilliant fire in your eyes, pulls a rich, resonant laugh from your belly, and leaves your entire physical vessel buzzing like a tuned tuning fork. Ecstatic joy is the supreme, ultimate coherent signal your biological suit can possibly process. When you marinate in genuine, unforced joy, your biophoton emissions do not just stabilize, they absolutely skyrocket. The microscopic dialogue occurring between your cells reaches a state of immaculate, crystal-clear perfection. Your DNA is instantly flooded with the most pristine, uncorrupted version of its original divine blueprint, and your skin, that incredibly sensitive, highly intelligent, infinitely responsive organ, instantly begins to broadcast that internal clarity for the world to see. This exact phenomenon explains why young children possess that undeniable, ethereal radiance. It is not simply because their cellular biology is newer. They glow so brightly because their energetic field remains entirely uncontaminated by the bleak societal contracts that adults so heavily carry. They have not yet signed the subconscious agreement to wither. They have not yet been indoctrinated into the collective timeline of biological decay. They are still operating entirely on their flawless, factory-setting signal, and their physical bodies naturally mirror that perfection. To be clear, you are not attempting to regress back to childhood. You are accelerating forward into an evolutionary state that childhood merely whispers about. You are stepping into a realm of conscious coherence. This is a highly advanced state of being where you simultaneously wield the profound, hard-earned wisdom of your earthly years, while flawlessly maintaining the immortal frequency of your cosmic origins. It is a state where your physical visage no longer acts as a receipt for the years you have suffered, but rather as a projector for the eternal light you have always possessed. When you achieve this, people will gaze upon you and find themselves completely incapable of guessing your age, simply because the concept of chronological age has become utterly irrelevant to the powerful signal you are broadcasting. This is the ultimate realization of the activated youth code. It is not merely the erasure of years, it is the overwhelming, undeniable presence of light. Now, I must address a specific sensation that is undoubtedly rising within some of you at this exact moment. It is a heavy resistance, a cynical voice echoing in the corridors of your mind, insisting, "This cannot possibly be real. This is beautiful poetry, but it is too good to be true. Biological bodies break down. That is just the harsh reality of science." I invite you to observe that internal skeptic without a shred of judgment. Scan your body and locate exactly where that voice is hiding. Is it a tightness in your chest, a lump in your throat, a heavy sinking in your gut? That voice occupies physical real estate because it is not merely a passing thought. It is a dense, stagnant frequency, literally trapped within your biological tissue. It is the heavy, accumulated sludge of every doctor, every cultural paradigm, and every unquestioned scientific dogma that ever brainwashed you into believing your body is nothing more than a fragile machine destined to rust and break. I have absolutely no intention of arguing with that cynical voice. I will not waste energy trying to logically convince it, because the act of convincing operates on the shallow frequency of the intellectual mind. This activation we are performing operates entirely on the quantum level of the energetic field. Instead, I am going to propose something incredibly radical. I am asking you to grant that voice permission to exist in the room, while you consciously, deliberately choose to tune into a superior frequency anyway. This is the most profound lesson of energetic sovereignty. You do not have to forcefully eradicate all low-density vibrations in order to activate the high ones. You are not required to permanently execute your doubt before you are allowed to embody divine certainty. You simply have to exercise your free will and select which broadcast tower you are going to transmit from. The skepticism can sit quietly in the corner. The ancestral programming can linger in the shadows. But you, your sovereign consciousness, the eternal witness, the director of your creative focus, you get to dictate exactly where you anchor your power. If you firmly plant your flag in the frequency of divine remembrance, and if you anchor yourself in the absolute knowing that your physical form was brilliantly engineered to self-regenerate, then that is the supreme command your cells will obey. They will follow that dominant signal, completely ignoring whatever terrified whispers your doubt is mumbling in the background. This is the true definition of spiritual mastery. It is not the total elimination of background noise. It is the superhuman ability to hold your divine signal steady and pure, despite the deafening roar of that noise. As you practice this, your complexion will become your most reliable, brutally honest mirror. It will no longer reflect a fabricated number called age. It will reflect your moment-to-moment frequency. When your energy is coherent, you will visibly blaze. When your thoughts are fractured and chaotic, you will look drained and ashen. When you are unconsciously carrying the toxic density of someone else's trauma, your face will display the burden. Conversely, when you finally purge a shadow that was suffocating your light, your skin will instantly demonstrate that liberation. Your physical reflection is not your enemy. It is your greatest ally. It is the most sophisticated, visible biofeedback monitor you possess for tracking the health of your auric field. You must begin consulting it with an entirely new perspective. Approach the mirror not as a harsh critic looking for flaws, but as an energetic translator reading a map. Ask yourself, what exact frequency is my biology projecting back at me today? Where am I flowing in perfect harmony? Where is my energy scattered and bleeding? What obsolete societal contract am I still clinging to that is physically manifesting as this specific furrow, this dark circle, this lack of vitality? And when you spot that dissonance, do not frantically reach for a chemical serum. Reach for the frequency. Reach for the truth. Cup your face in your palms, gaze into your own eyes, and declare, I remember you, and say it with the force of 1,000 suns. Finally, I am going to unlock one more profound layer for you, because your consciousness has expanded enough to receive it. Your skin is not merely a passive biofeedback monitor. It is an active, high-powered transmission tower. The brilliant light that courses through your newly coherent energetic field does not abruptly halt at the boundary of your flesh. It spills over. It erupts outward into the physical space around you. It bathes, alters, and elevates every single person, plant, and object that enters your gravitational pull. The moment your ancient youth code switches online, the moment your cellular matrix reboots its original regenerative software, you literally transform into a localized generator of coherent quantum light. This is the unspoken, magnetic physics behind why human beings are so helplessly, gravitationally drawn to those who truly glow. This magnetic attraction they feel toward you is completely devoid of superficial aesthetic preferences. It is driven entirely by a profound, spiritual starvation, what we might accurately describe as a deep frequency hunger. The masses surrounding you in your daily life are quite literally famished for a single drop of coherent illumination. They are drowning in a sea of chaotic dissonance, constantly bombarded by shattered energetic signals, and deafened by the relentless, heavy static of a society that has tragically severed its umbilical cord to the pure source of creation. Consequently, the instant you step into a room enveloped in a harmonized, crystalline aura, their subconscious biological systems immediately identify the oasis. They will instinctively gravitate toward your physical orbit. Their nervous systems will spontaneously regulate and find sudden solace in your mere presence, even if their conscious, logical minds cannot articulate exactly why. Simply by standing adjacent to your sovereign, stabilized vibration, their own dormant healing processes are involuntarily ignited. Herein lies the ultimate, transcendent objective of awakening your dormant longevity sequence. It is infinitely grander than achieving a youthful reflection merely to satisfy personal ego, though a flawless, ageless aesthetic is undeniably a magnificent, magical byproduct. The true mission is to evolve into a walking, breathing broadcast tower of regenerative life force. You are meant to serve as a literal, physical anchor for the vibration of eternal renewal, grounding this divine possibility into a heavy dimension that has suffered total amnesia regarding its own immortality. Each time a stranger or loved one gazes upon you, utterly bewildered as to how you are accumulating sheer luminosity rather than fading away like the rest of the population, you are actively implanting a quantum seed directly into their waking consciousness. It is a revolutionary seed whispering a subversive truth. Perhaps inescapable deterioration is a massive lie. Perhaps an entirely different biological paradigm actually exists. As this potent seed of doubt takes root across countless minds, it actively dismantles and elevates the entire global vibrational baseline. This is precisely how the archaic matrix of physical decay is permanently shattered. We do not dismantle this illusion by debating skeptics, nor by compiling sterile scientific data to prove a point. We break it purely through visceral embodiment. We shatter the spell through the sheer audacity of awakened starseeds who dare to reboot their immortal software and allow their physical flesh to stand as undeniable, living proof. Comprehend the staggering magnitude of this task. Tonight, you are not merely repairing your own cellular structure. You are literally performing open-heart surgery on the collective timeline of humanity. Allow me to distill this wisdom into its most concentrated, piercing form. I refuse to let you exit this energetic exchange with a brain merely cluttered by philosophical theories. You must depart with a physical vessel overflowing with awakened, blinding light. The absolute, non-negotiable prerequisite for your biological override to commence this very night is the total, merciless extraction of your identity from the paradigm of aging. I am not suggesting a hesitant, partial retreat. I am not asking for a hopeful, tentative step backward. I demand a complete and total energetic severance. Deep within the absolute core of your soul, you must forge an unbreakable decree that you have officially resigned from the role of a deteriorating mortal. You must declare that you are, instead, a pure cosmic frequency engaged in the profound act of biological remembrance. This monumentally powerful verdict is not finalized using your logical intellect. It is forged entirely within your quantum field. It is permanently signed in the exact fraction of a second that you cup your face in your hands and command your cellular matrix with the unshakable authority of an absolute sovereign. You do not wish. You do not hope. You command with the ironclad certainty that your inner sun was never actually extinguished. Your divine blueprint was never corrupted, and the solitary element that ever strayed from the path was your conscious focus. And at this exact moment, your magnificent focus has finally returned home. The instant you cross this energetic threshold tonight, a subtle phenomenon will initiate one that your conscious mind might not fully decode until the sun rises over the coming days. A profound, sweeping tranquility will wash over your entire nervous system. You will experience a deafening quiet, akin to the absolute silence that falls the moment a violent, lifelong war finally ceases. Because, in truth, a war has just ended. The agonizing, invisible battle between your pristine Genesis frequency and the world's suffocating demand for your decay. The brutal conflict between your eternal essence and the decaying avatar society forced you to adopt. That war officially terminates tonight, and it does not end because you fought harder and emerged victorious. It ends because you simply chose to turn your back and abandon the illusory battlefield altogether. Within the fertile, silent void left behind by that abandoned conflict, an extraordinary bloom occurs, an ancient vitality that has been lying dormant just beneath your epidermal layer, hiding deep within the quantum architecture of your DNA, suddenly surges to the forefront. It is the very light your cells have desperately tried to maintain, even at their most suffocated, dimmed capacity. It erupts into existence simply because you finally supplied the singular nutrient it was starving for. your conscious recognition, your genuine remembrance, your fearless willingness to gaze deeply into your own biology and declare, "Yes, I recognize you. I have known you since the dawn of creation. Welcome back. I strongly invite you to return to this specific transmission whenever you crave recalibration. Seek it out in the hushed moments just before sleep claims you, or in the pristine, untouched stillness of the early dawn, allowing these frequencies to cascade through your architecture when your auric field is most receptive and undefended. Furthermore, if a specific face flashed across your mind's eye while absorbing these truths, a beloved soul whose own brilliance is currently being crushed beneath the weight of these same deceptive, collective contracts, do not hesitate to forward this broadcast to them. By sharing this transmission, you serve as the direct catalyst for another spirit's grand remembrance, exponentially magnifying the unified, coherent grid we are currently weaving across the globe. That energetic ripple will alter the fabric of reality far more drastically than you can possibly imagine. Take a deliberate, grounding pause right here, right now. Drop entirely out of your head and into your physical vessel, becoming a silent witness to the profound sensations unfolding beneath your skin. Do not attempt to rationally dissect the feeling. Do not assign it a clinical label. Merely experience it. Notice the rising thermal heat. Pay attention to the subtle, electric effervescence dancing along your neural pathways. There is an undeniable, surging current flowing through your veins that was completely stagnant a mere 5 minutes ago. Do not confuse this with a fleeting emotional reaction. This is a literal, biological activation. You are experiencing the exact physical sensation of your cellular army eagerly digesting a flawless, coherent command for the very first time in eons. Granted total permission to flow. Step aside and allow your miraculous biology to execute the master plan it inherently understands. You have spent your entire existence exhaustingly micromanaging your physical form, completely forgetting that your body is infinitely capable of governing its own supreme optimization. You have suffered amnesia regarding the breathtaking fact that you are constructed from the exact same omnipotent cosmic intelligence that orchestrates the birth of spiraling galaxies, commands ancient forests to rise from the dirt, and miraculously multiplies a solitary, microscopic cell into a breathtaking human avatar composed of trillions of distinct entities, each one flawlessly executing millions of complex biochemical equations per microsecond in a symphony of absolute perfect synchronization. That supreme, organizing cosmic intelligence never abandoned your physical vessel. It absolutely did not come with an expiration date. It certainly did not reach an arbitrary chronological milestone, check a calendar, and abruptly decide to shut down its operations. On the contrary, it has been standing by in a state of infinite, unconditional patience, waiting for the exact moment you would finally cease your subconscious interference and actively begin the process of profound remembrance. And tonight is the night you finally remember. I am offering you a solemn vow right now, not originating from me as a mere human personality, but delivered strictly as a pure, energetic transmission. If you execute this evening's protocol with absolute unshakable sincerity, if you genuinely, ruthlessly sever your psychological identity from the collective timeline of decay and successfully anchor your consciousness into the pure vibration of your Genesis blueprint, you will witness undeniable physical proof in a matter of days. I do not mean weeks. I do not mean months. I mean mere days. This is because your biological architecture reacts to harmonized, coherent commands with a staggering velocity that will completely shatter your paradigm, provided you stop crippling it with the expectation of sluggishness. The transformation will announce itself in the windows of your soul first. A blinding, unmistakable spark will ignite within your eyes. Following this, the texture of your skin will undergo a profound softening, melting away years of accumulated tension. Soon after, your entire auric energy will palpably shift, expanding outward. Inevitably, the people in your orbit will be drawn to this magnetism, desperately inquiring about the secret behind your sudden, radiant metamorphosis. and you will offer them a knowing, tranquil smile, because your truth will sound entirely too simple for their logical minds to digest. You will simply tell them, "I merely remembered my true identity. Moving forward, I must permanently anchor this transmission within you by handing over one ultimate, foundational key. This specific key is designed for the long expedition ahead, extending far beyond the magic of this single night. Understand that your newly awakened longevity sequence does not remain locked in the on position purely on autopilot. It demands continuous tending. Notice I said tending, not grueling, exhausting effort. It requires the exact same gentle devotion that Alara applied when she tended to her miraculous desert sanctuary. She never wasted her precious energy battling the arid drought. She poured all her focus into actively recalling the vibrant bloom. Therefore, each and every dawn as you rise from sleep, in that fragile window before the chaotic machinery of the world violently intrudes with its deafening demands and heavy, toxic vibrations, you must pause to take a single, intentional breath, just one profound inhalation, and housed within the span of that specific breath, you must remember, vividly, recall the lush garden, summon the blinding light, reconnect with the immortal code. If you require a physical grounding mechanism, press your palms gently to your face. Speak the sacred incantation aloud if the acoustic vibration assists your focus. Yet, the true magic lies exclusively within the silent act of remembrance itself. It lives in that sovereign fraction of a second where you consciously dictate, before the day even unfolds, exactly which cosmic frequency tower you will broadcast your energy from. Naturally, there will be mornings where this alignment feels as effortless as floating. You will awaken to find the divine light already surging through your veins, eagerly awaiting your command. However, there will inevitably be other dawns where the archaic, viral programming attempts a vicious counterattack. You might confront the looking glass and find the screaming voices of doubt temporarily deafening. On those specific, challenging days, you must water the garden regardless. You must force the remembrance. You do not do this because you miraculously feel inspired. You execute it simply because you choose to. And at the foundational level of quantum mechanics, conscious choice is the single most terrifyingly potent force in the entire cosmos. It completely eclipses external circumstances. It overwrites genetic predispositions. It transcends the very illusion of linear time. Your vibrational frequency has always been your absolute shield, and moving forward, it will serve as your ultimate fountain of biological renewal. I now require you to participate in a specific energetic exercise. Navigate to the comment section directly below and permanently etch these exact syllables into the digital ether. I remember my true origin. My eternal longevity sequence activates this very night. Grasp the gravity of this action. You are not merely typing text onto a screen. You are issuing a legally binding quantum declaration into the unified field. You are actively transmitting a brilliantly harmonized signal that will instantly interlock with the thousands of other awakened signals occupying this exact dimension, effectively weaving an indestructible grid of divine memory. This grid exponentially supercharges the awakening process for every subsequent soul who stumbles upon it. Your linguistic choices are heavily laden with electromagnetic frequency. When you deploy them with surgical intention, they transform into unbreakable anchors within the fabric of reality. If the currents of this broadcast have genuinely shifted the tectonic plates of your inner world, if you physically experience the dormant codes awakening within your cellular structure, then strike the like button. Do not do this to appease some lifeless mathematical algorithm. Do it to lock in the vibrational resonance. Every single deliberate interaction you have with this transmission acts as a brilliant energetic flare, guaranteeing that this vital information will successfully navigate the digital noise to rescue the next desperate starseed, the next wandering soul whose biological vessel is weeping for the authorization to remember. Realize that you are not passively consuming digital media right now. You are actively engaging in a massive, coordinated quantum field event. Your deliberate participation is the fuel for this global activation. If you haven't yet, subscribe. But do not view it as subscribing to a mere video channel. You are pledging allegiance to a revolutionary frequency. You are locking yourself into an ever-expanding matrix of coherent light that amplifies with every new broadcast. Each time you deliberately return to this space, you fortify your own internal antenna. You reinforce the global grid, making it infinitely easier for your own nervous system to locate and sustain the vibration of eternal youth. What we are architecting together transcends the boundaries of any isolated video. We are constructing a massive planetary halo, an impenetrable force field of cosmic protection and cellular regeneration that multiplies in sheer power with every new awakened consciousness that merges with it. And now, as the final waves of this specific transmission begin to ebb, I implore you to deeply analyze exactly what has already transmuted within you. The energetic architecture of your aura is fundamentally different than it was the moment you hit the play button. A massive internal reorganization has taken place. A profound fragment of your soul has finally remembered. You may not yet see the final results rendered upon the canvas of your skin, but your cells already know. Your DNA has flawlessly downloaded the new software update. This elusive longevity sequence is not some external treasure you must exhaustingly hunt down. It is an intrinsic program that has been silently humming in the background of your biology since your first breath, merely waiting for you to adjust your internal radio dial back to its station. Tonight, as you slip into the quiet dark, when you lovingly cradle your face within your palms, and when you softly whisper, "I remember you," to the loyal biological vessel that has faithfully shielded you through every brutal storm, every period of spiritual dimming, and every tragic phase of amnesia, understand with absolute certainty that you are not merely engaging in a theatrical ritual. You are finally stepping across the threshold and coming back home. You are permanently reclaiming the divine, intrinsic frequency that has rightfully belonged to your soul since the very dawn of your creation. As a direct result of this homecoming, your magnificent physical vessel, this breathtakingly intelligent, infinitely adaptable, and profoundly responsive biological masterpiece, is about to demonstrate its true, miraculous capabilities. It is going to show you exactly what is physiologically possible the very moment it is nourished by a flawlessly coherent, unified command from the sovereign consciousness residing within its walls. Understand this undeniable cosmic truth. Your logical mind did not accidentally stumble across this specific transmission today. This broadcast actively hunted you down. It located your exact coordinates because you had finally reached the precipice of true readiness. Deep within the microscopic, unseen architecture of your being, your cellular army blasted an undeniable energetic beacon into the quantum ether, declaring, "We are finally prepared to remember our immortal blueprint." And the infinite, unified field immediately answered that call. The universe is obligated to respond to a pure, harmonized command. It always responds. It has faithfully mirrored your internal state since the genesis of reality. Moving forward into this new paradigm, your uncorrupted vibrational frequency serves as your ultimate, impenetrable armor against the world's density. Your fearless, conscious act of divine remembrance is the supreme engine driving your perpetual biological resurrection. In this exact, transcendent moment, your personal energetic halo officially powers online. Welcome to the unified field,